What's up, everybody? Some weekly Q&A. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you its weekly Q&A. I thought we'd do something a little different today. Sorry, I'm just closing some pop-ups from Facebook here, and let's get into it. I don't have any build-up for you guys today. Isaac says, when is data statistically relevant? I'm worried about turning campaigns off too early. I'll tell you a deeper philosophy, Isaac, for how we run ads. And it occurred to me actually when I was reading investment books. They have something in investing called asymmetric risk. And this is one of the things that really smart investors use to make a lot of money. And asymmetric risk looks like this, which is if I'm wrong, I want to lose a little. And if I'm right, I want to win big. So low downside and big upside. That's how you want to kind of think about running ads. So I'll tell you, like if you're running like Facebook ads, there's pretty much like only 4 things that'll make your Facebook ads work. There's a lot of like little tweaks you can make, but at the end of the day, there's like 4 big things that'll make your ads work. 1 is your targeting, 2 is your offer, 3 is the image, and then 4, of course, is your messaging. So if you worry about those 4 pieces, there's actually not a lot of variables to test. And so one of the things that we do personally, I'm not saying this is the only way to run ads, but I like low downside bets. So if I run an ad, I usually spend $50 as a little test ad, and that usually tells me, are people signing up? Are they moving towards the offer or away from it? And that's all you really need to do, I think. So if it's not showing you with 50 or $100 that it's going to work, I wouldn't keep rolling with it. That's kind of my idea when it's statistically relevant. Obviously, those numbers will vary a lot from niche to niche if you're doing it with Google, so I can't give you as easy an answer. But, you know, in Facebook, if my ad's been seen by a couple thousand people that are like, you know, the people I'm going for, and it's not working, then that's positive. But you know, with $50 tests, you can end up have hundreds of thousands of dollars per month winning ads. You know, you try a little $50 thing. If it works, you spend a little more and a little more and a little more, and it minimizes your downside. And then when you're right, you're right. All right, Samuel. Started a Facebook campaign. It was doing really well for the first few days, and it's completely plateaued. Is it normal for a 1% and 3% lookalike audience to stop performing? It's classified as learning limited with only 4 days left. Wondering if I should tweak it or let it run its course. Any help? Super appreciated. Samuel, your question implies that the reason it plateaued is the 1 to 3% lookalike audience. In my experience, it's not that. But Facebook ads will plateau only 100% of the time ever. So if you're finding your ad has plateaued, then it's completely normal. And the easiest thing, by the way, to restart an ad that's plateaued is just to swap out the image. I've often found you can change it up. But the thing that's going to make your offer or your ad work more than anything else is your offer. So if you want to work on just one thing, make it so whatever you're offering in your ad is an easy to say yes to kind of thing. Bavesh. If we are using a ClickFunnel landing page for a conversion campaign optimized for leads, then how to verify the domain? I assume you mean on Facebook, Bavesh. We can't verify ClickFunnel domain, so how does the process go? I don't know the ins and outs because I don't do most of the tech stuff myself, but with ClickFunnels, you can use something called Cloudflare. Cloudflare is free, and it'll help you install your ClickFunnels on your own domains where you can verify it. So check that out. It's just cloudflare.com. Adam, how many accounts do each of your ad managers take responsibility for? Is 15 too many or too few for someone working 40 hours a week? Adam, I'm going to give you the classic evasive answer. Lawyers say this a lot. It depends. So in our case, like our ads, we're basically just running one in the same funnel for everybody. So having somebody manage 15 funnels is more like managing one funnel 15 times. So they can do a lot more. But if you got a big e-com client and you're testing 1,000 products, that single account may require one dedicated person. But if you're doing like lots of local stuff and it's very, very similar, you may be able to get away with more. So it kind of depends on what the workload is and how specialized and how ready they come into Facebook ads. So if they already know how to run their own ads and they're pretty awesome, then they may be able to do a lot on their own. If you need to train them and kind of handhold them, it's different. So there's a wide range of spectrum. If you're doing something that's kind of like copy and paste and easy, and already templated out, then you can have them manage even more than 15. But I'd say probably for how you're asking the question, it's probably a good ballpark. PJ, how do you bring back to life a fatiguing ad? This ad has killed itself, but has starting to fatigue. Cost per lead is going up substantially every day after being shown to 50,000 people out of 270,000. The frequency is 1.6. Anyone have suggestions on how we can put a twist on it and refresh it? As I mentioned, PJ, if you're running Facebook ads, they're going to fatigue, they're going to plateau only 100% of the time. Like, that's just how every Facebook ad ever runs. The most I've ever got out of a Facebook ad is 7 months. I was pretty proud of that ad. Not having to change an ad for as much as 7 months is pretty amazing. So in your case, the simplest thing, if it's just like starting to fatigue now, just try swapping the image. That's actually the easiest thing that'll refresh an ad. But you may have to go back to the drawing board and actually work on your offer, because it may be in your audience of 270,000 people. Everybody's seen it. And so what I found in niches like that, where your audience size isn't massive and you don't always have room to go bigger, is if you just have like 3 offers and switch them every couple of weeks, you can show the first one for a couple weeks, then the second one for a couple weeks, then the third one for a couple weeks, and then you can go back to the first one and you can actually make them new just by kind of cycling them out. So you don't always have to like reinvent the wheel, but you probably do need to go back to the basics and change that a little bit. Jose, anyone else having trouble to see any breakdown of their conversion metrics? Country, sex, age, nothing works. Jose, I don't even have any resource to give you on good solutions for that. What you're describing is iOS 14, and it's making all the ads really bad. But I'll tell you what helps us is we make very specific offers in a certain ad, and then we can see people opting in or signing up or buying that specific offer, and it makes tracking it a little bit easier. So like, for example, if like I'm running a motorcycle ebook and I have 5 ads running that are similar, I can't tell the differences between those ads, but I can see the leads in the back end that people are signing up. So yeah, so what's that, Wayne B? Yeah, brother, it's a good place here. The ocean's just right over there, so I'm feeling the breeze from it. OFEC, how would you recommend doing niche research for SMMA, being social media marketing agency? OFEC, there's a secret tool that I feel is not used nearly enough in our industry. It's called this. So the best thing you can do as niche research is just to go into your niche and read their conversations and listen to how they talk to each other about their problems and challenges and struggle. I'll tell you a few places that have helped me do that online. One is Reddit. There's almost always a subreddit dedicated to whatever your niche is. And even better than that, subreddits get upvoted, so they actually organize the conversation for you for what most people are experiencing. I've used Amazon. Just read the reviews on books people buy in your niche. That's a good starter. And so are the titles of books. They're indicators of things people have going on. As well, Quora, which is a question and answer site. There's usually a lot of, especially if you work with offline professionals, I don't know why they tend to use Quora a lot. But go in there and just listen and see what gets upvoted, see what gets discussed. What you'll find is often we miss the mark when we show up in our agency and we're promising things like more leads and better rankings and I'll get you reviews. Those things are all important, but they often understand their problem in a much simpler way. Like, with lawyers, for example, they understand that I got 6 referrals this month and 0 the next, and I don't know whether next month it'll be 10 or 0, and so it's hard for me to plan anything. And so rather than promising more rankings, they're almost always buying away out of the inconsistencies of their referrals. So when you understand that, you can really hone in on it. And so in your case, the best way to do that, just listen to a few conversations. And if you can get them on the phone in your niche and actually just talk to them, that'll dramatically shortcut and speed up that journey. Herr Gergi, my man Aldo. Speaking of sharing, how to share profits with the core team members, and should I even do that? I see more cons than pros. Thought about a mixed model, fixed flat fee plus bonus, but never done it before. Any thoughts from the group? Well, you get my thoughts, maybe not the whole group. There's some other smart people, so I'd suggest listening to them is valuable as well. This is my experience. There are exceptions for when I do profit sharing with people you work with, but I would say 99 times out of 100, it's just not how you want to do it. And as I mentioned in the comment, it was really, really interesting because I remember reading a study on why employees left, as I told you in my comment. And the first people they asked were the employers, and the employers said, "Oh, it's money. I'm not paying them enough. I can't pay them enough." And so you would assume if you listen to the employers that the biggest reason people leave companies is because of money, because there's not enough upside in their pay. And when they actually asked the employees, that number was eighth. Money was the eighth thing they listed. And I remember the first two. I couldn't tell you the seven in between, but the first one is just nobody appreciates me. Like none of my work is appreciated. Nobody ever says thank you. And the second one is my boss, especially the boss like directly above them that they report to, is an asshole. And those two things are the biggest reason why employees leave. And so when you understand like what makes employees unhappy enough to leave, one of the simplest things you can do is just be a caring, appreciative boss. So like I always try with my VAs, it's like once a month to give them something extra, to always say thank you, just to, thank them for the fact that they're making my workload easier and taking care of things. And you'll end up with better people than I've ever seen a profit sharing doing. Now, having said that, if somebody can geometrically grow your company, I've had consultants I brought in. I remember our agency was at like 30 grand a month. And I paid a guy 15 grand plus 50% of any increased profits to come in and partner up with me. And so if they have the ability to like grow it, in other words, if they're going to like bake a bigger pie and then just take a piece of that bigger pie, I would be totally down with revenue sharing. Sometimes, like I think Wayne mentioned in the group that he had a friend working on like a revenue share, helping him sell it. Like those are always good scenarios if they can grow it for you. But if you're the one doing all the growing and then you're sharing that pie, I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that. Not just because it's not necessary, but it'll just make it all confusing. And what employees want more than anything is their boss above them to appreciate their work and to really care. And so that's actually the biggest gift you can give them, not just like including them in your big pile of money, which I'm sure you got over there in Switzerland. Another question from our man here, Gergi. Was approached by a Nongerman, ambitious edible e-bike producer, not edible, which wants to go big in Germany. They struggle with their Google Ads campaigns, walk through the campaigns and landing pages, and I've seen lots of optimization potential. Question, would you do a performance deal as a welcome test, the Waters offer? I thought about something like this. If I don't get you an uplift or at least X% on conversions, which is brochure downloads within 1 month, you pay nothing. If 25% or more, you pay amount Y. Besides my scaling activities, I'm still involved in high roller Google ad poker parties. That's some good old Swiss German humor. So if you're going to do like a performance deal, performance deals are different than retainer deals in that obviously they're easier to get, but man, I'll tell you the most important thing is choosing the clients very carefully. So what I would look at in that scenario more than anything is like, would it be really easy to create a win for this person that then I could get paid for that? If not, I don't know if I would do a revenue share deal in that case, especially because those are like brand new cold traffic and you might have to work really hard to do that. Having said that, it looks like you've already identified some opportunities. So I might build just a little proposal around that as a test, is to say, hey, like I figured out 5 things we could do. Why don't we run a 30-day test? And one of the things you can do is you can actually get paid a retainer plus a commission deal. And then you get the best of both worlds. It's just to say, here are the 5 things that I think are going to make the biggest deal for you. Why don't we try those for 30 days? And if we like it, we can do some more. And that helps you as well, by the way, because if it turns out to be harder to get them results, like maybe nobody wants their brochure, maybe that's what you find out. Or maybe they've burned customers in the past and they have a bad reputation. You may find out things like that when you get into it. So you can always just propose them like a little short 30-day trial, pay me. And then if it works, if I can grow your profit, you can pay me a percentage. And those are really common in e-commerce deals, but you don't have to do them in just e-commerce. They work really, really well. So you can get paid a cut and a retainer, and I would suggest in this case, especially because you're working with upfront traffic, I would go for both, and then just think about the fastest, easiest way you can help them win, because you also obviously have to deliver on those promises. So yeah, those are my kind of thoughts on that. Joe, our man Joe. Hi guys and gals, based on Frankie's excellent guidance, you know how to butter me up, Joe. I am currently developing my first irresistible offer. My question is, what do you feel the minimum to maximum price that this introduction offer should be for a digital agency looking for mid-level clients, not local clients with no budget? Thanks in advance for any suggestion. Joe, firstly, awesome job on working on your first irresistible offer, because what we so often work on in our agency stuff, and I learned this for years, was getting good at selling and kind of like convincing people to come into your agency, and it works. But man, it's just way easier when you create an offer that doesn't need as much convincing and people just say yes to it. Like if you think about the Apple Store, they don't depend on like great salespeople. In fact, they have pretty shitty, from a sales perspective, shitty salespeople. But you go in there and most often you planned on buying the phone before you went in because it was a pretty irresistible offer. So that's kind of where you want to get your agency. Now, the biggest thing that'll actually make the difference in terms of how much you're going to get paid for your introductory offer, like how much you can reasonably charge and get it without any sort of pushback, is actually based mostly on who you are making the offer to and not necessarily the offer itself. So I'll give you an example. In the lawyer space, I remember the first time I got a consulting gig, it came out of a mastermind that we were part of, and somebody asked me some SEO questions, and I just gave them like a rundown, and they said, "Do you do any consulting?" And I had never done any consulting to that point, so I said yes. And they said, "How much is your consulting?" And I said, "It's $5,000 a day plus expenses to get me there." And why 5,000? I don't have some magic reason. It was just a number that felt psychologically satisfying to me at the moment. And the guy said, "No problem." And I was actually a little bit amazed at how easy that was to do, but I guess that was ultimately really, really valuable for him. Now, I've also consulted with like the kind of struggling, getting started lawyer, and you'd be lucky to get $100 for an hour of that. And it's not because the wisdom or the value you're bringing is any more or less. It's just because in the first case of the firm that I was dealing with, they had 100 different lawyers working for them. They're in all kinds of different practice areas. They're spending $10,000 a month just on their SEO. They spend $400,000 a month on TV. They spend $200,000 a month on Google ads. So just shifting it 1 degree, their SEO it pays for itself in half a month. So like $5,000 is a no-brainer. In fact, in hindsight, I should have said like 25 or 50 or something like that. But it was, you live and learn in those things. So in your case, you really want to feel out like what is the value. And the biggest thing to do is just to actually ask them wherever you can, is just to say, "Hey, if we could do blank, like what would that be worth to you?" And people will reveal the answer without just giving you a number sometimes as well. Like I've had people say, "Well, if we could do that, that is the $1 million question, isn't it?" And what did they just tell me, right? It's a $1 million kind of value to them. So in your case, just feeling it out with them is what they're most interested in is not necessarily your price, is just the solutions and the thing and the value you bring. So show them the value, and then when you get into the conversation, just tell them the truth. This is so new that I haven't even put a price tag on it yet. It's customized to you, if you don't mind me asking. If we could get that outcome that you want, if we could achieve that result together, what would that be worth to you? And then you'll know exactly what your price is. Having said that, like I've seen first date stuff in the range of all the way down to like $100 or $500 or $1,000. Like I'd say the 500 to 1,000 being the most common, all the way up to like 100,000. In fact, I even know, not personally, just friend of a friend, who hired a coach who charges $1 million per year. They have no website, they have no marketing, there's no funnel. You can only get referred to them by somebody who's already in there, and it's only for like high-level CEOs and those kind of things. And that's their intro offer is, you want to come work with me, you must be referred, and you must show up with $1 million cash in hand. So intro offers can go all the way from $100 to $1 million. But the best thing you can do strategically is price that intro so that it just seamlessly leads into your ongoing, so that when it works out and you guys have a good first date and you both agree that you'd like to continue, that it's just like, hey, let's just keep doing more at the rate we're currently doing. So if you have for example, like a first date that goes $1,000 for a week, and you want to get, say, $3,000 a month, you say, hey, we did $1,000 for a week. That would be $4,000 if we kept going every week over the month. I'll give you a break on the price if you wanted to do this long term, and we could work for $3,000 a month. How does that sound to you? And you don't really need more to sell it because the first date has gone well. So that'll make a big difference in your pricing. I hope that's helpful. I know we're going to get into that on our workshop call, but I know there's some other people in the same boat as you, so I wanted to make sure that they got some value out of that too. That's all I got for you guys this week. So make sure to follow along on YouTube, and I'm going to go hang out maybe at the beach, or probably just lay in bed for a little bit, do some work. And I wish you guys an amazing day as well. And thank you for the 6 people in the world who watch these. I love doing this for you guys, and you guys are, for real, like the coolest people on the internet. I maintain that. So much love, and may the force be with you.